Pick up a jug of laundry detergent at the grocery store this week and look at the price. Not the sale price. Look closely at the tag. The regular price right there on the shelf. You are probably paying somewhere between $10 and $14 for a bottle that does maybe 30 loads. If you do laundry twice a week, and most households do, that bottle is gone in 3 weeks. You do that math over a full year and you are spending somewhere between $170 and $220 on laundry detergent alone. Every single year it just keeps adding up. For clean clothes for you and your family, which your grandmother got clean without spending a dime on anything that came in a plastic jug. I want to tell you about 3 ingredients. 3 simple ingredients are all it takes for a full year of laundry. They cost about $6 total when you buy them the right way, and the batch you make from them will last your household close to a full year. Not a month, that's right. Not a season either. A full year of clean laundry guaranteed. And the part that is going to stay with you, the part I want you to sit with, is not how cheap it is. It is how well it works. Because this is not a compromise. This is not settling for less clean laundry to save money. This is what clean laundry actually is, underneath all the marketing. People on the Appalachian Ridge where I grew up did not have a separate product for every problem. You kept the things that worked, you learned what they did, and you did not replace them until you had a good reason. I am 76 years old. I kept house on a Blue Ridge homestead for most of my life. And I can tell you that I have been making my own laundry soap since before my youngest child was in school. Decades of clean laundry done the right way for my family. Decades of knowing exactly what I was putting on my family's clothes and on their skin. The name I go by is Annie Hemingway, and the knowledge I am sharing with you today came straight from the women who raised me. Passed down the way good things used to be passed down, hand to hand, not sold in a store. That kind of knowledge ought to keep moving. It ought to keep being passed from one person to the next, the way it always was before someone figured out there was money in making you forget it. If what I share here is useful to you, I hope you will subscribe. There is a full pantry's worth of this kind of knowledge waiting, and I am not going anywhere. Now, before I get into the recipe itself, and I'm going to give you the full recipe, every measurement, every cost, exactly where to find these 3 ingredients, I want to ask you something. Drop your answer in the comments below, and I do read every single one. What are you paying right now for laundry detergent, and have you ever tried making your own? I want to know where you are starting from. The 3 ingredients are washing soda, borax, and bar soap. That is the whole list, plain and simple for everyone to follow. No essential oils you have to order online. No specialty items from a natural food store, though you can certainly find them there too if that is what is near you. These are hardware store and grocery store materials that have been sitting on shelves in one form or another for well over 100 years because they work and because nothing has come along that actually does the job better. Only things that come in fancier packaging. The $6 figure I mentioned is what you will spend on your first batch. A large box of washing soda runs about $4 in most stores. Borax, which you will also use for other things, costs about $5 to $6. A bar of Fell's Naphtha soap costs between $1 and $2 at regular price. Add it up and your first batch lands right around $6 total. Maybe a touch more, maybe a touch less, depending on your local store. And that batch will carry a household of 4 through close to a full year. 2 loads a week, sometimes 3 loads total for a busy household. A full year of clean clothes for everyone in your home. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now as you watch. You are thinking it sounds too simple to actually work in real life, that if this were real, someone would have told you about it already. That the detergents on the shelf must be doing something special for the price. Stay with me on this because there's more to see and understand. Because what I am going to show you next is what laundry detergent actually does. The science is simpler than you think, and the explanation is even simpler. Here is the plain truth about laundry detergent commercials and marketing. Dirt does not just rinse off fabric with plain water alone. If it did, plain water would be enough for everyone to get clothes clean. The reason water alone fails is simple. Most of what makes clothes dirty, body oils, food grease, the grimy residue that builds up on collars and cuffs, is oil-based. And oil and water do not mix. They never have. No matter how much you try, they always stay separate. Water will sit right there, repelling every drop on the fabric. What a detergent has to do is act as a bridge between them. The scientific word for this is surfactant, a bridge maker. It grabs onto the grease with one end and water with the other. That is the whole job of a good cleaning agent. Lift the oil and carry it out with the rinse water. The second thing a detergent has to manage is water hardness. Your water carries dissolved minerals like calcium and magnesium. Those minerals bind with the soap before it can clean the dirt. The result is that dingy, never quite clean look on your clothes. A good detergent addresses this by softening the water first. That is the full scope of what a laundry detergent needs to do. Lift oil off fabric and wash it all away. Soften the water so the cleaning can actually happen. Carry the soil away in the rinse for good results. 3 tasks that every detergent must handle every time, and the 3 ingredients in this recipe handle each one directly. Washing soda is the first ingredient, doing the heaviest lifting. Washing soda is sodium carbonate, not simple baking soda. It is very effective at cutting through grease and body oils. It is also a natural water softener for your tap water. It binds to the minerals so your soap can work properly. You will find washing soda in the laundry aisle of most stores. Arm & Hammer makes the most common version in a yellow box. A $4 box contains enough for multiple batches of soap. For this recipe, you will use 1 cup of washing soda per batch. Hold that measurement in mind for the mixing step later on. Borax is the second ingredient in this 3-part laundry recipe. Borax is sodium tetraborate, but the name is less important than its power. Borax is a natural mineral compound used for cleaning for over a century. It enhances the cleaning action and helps deodorize every load of laundry. It also has mild antibacterial properties, keeping your clothes smelling fresh. Borax is sold in the laundry aisle as well, most commonly under the 20 Mule Team label, which has been on store shelves since the 1800s. A large box costs $5 to $6, but this recipe uses only half a cup per batch, which means that 1 box will supply many batches. Your per batch cost on the borax is well under $2. For the full recipe, you will use half a cup of borax. The third ingredient is the bar soap, and this is the primary surfactant, the bridge between oil and water. Fels naphtha is what I use and what I recommend without reservation. It has been manufactured since 1894, and it was designed specifically for laundry. It is a hard, waxy bar that smells clean without being perfumed, and it is one of the most effective grease-cutting soaps you can put on fabric. So does the other bar soap worth knowing. It is a Mexican laundry soap that has been used in American households for decades, and it works just as well. Either one will be in the laundry aisle or in some stores with the bar soaps near the pharmacy section. 1 bar costs between $1 and $2. For this recipe, you will use 1 full bar of soap grated fine. A standard box grater works perfectly. Grate it the way you would grate hard cheese, the fine side of the grater, not the large holes, so the pieces are small enough to dissolve fully in the wash. Here is how you put it together. Grate the entire bar of Fels naphtha or Zote into a large bowl or directly into your storage container. Add 1 cup of washing soda. Add half a cup of borax. Stir everything together thoroughly until the soap shreds and the 2 powders are evenly combined. And that right there is the complete recipe. It takes about 10 minutes from start to finish, and what you end up with is a dry powder detergent that stores easily, does not clump if kept in a sealed container, and does not require refrigeration or any special handling. For storage, a wide-mouth mason jar works well. A gallon-size mason jar holds a full batch with room to spare and keeps the powder dry and ready to use. A sealed plastic container or a repurposed coffee tin works just as well. Keep it somewhere dry, a shelf in the laundry room, the top of the dryer, a cabinet away from steam. Moisture is the only thing that will cause this powder to clump, so keep the lid sealed between uses. For a standard top-loading washing machine, use 2 tablespoons of powder per load. For a large or heavily soiled load, use 3 tablespoons. For a standard front-loading or high-efficiency machine, use 1 tablespoon. And there is an important note here about HE machines that I am going to come back to very shortly, because it is the one place where this recipe requires a small adjustment in how you think about it. 2 tablespoons per load, 40 to 50 loads in a batch, a household doing 2 to 3 loads of laundry a week. You do that arithmetic and a single $6 batch lasts close to a full year. That is not an estimate designed to impress you. That is the honest math. I want to be straight with you about this because that matters more to me than sounding impressive. This recipe is genuinely good. It cleans well, it is cheap, it is simple, and it will handle the regular laundry of an average household without trouble. But it has limits, and I would rather tell you what those limits are right now than have you find out the hard way after the first wash. The first thing to know is the foam question. This powder will not produce the kind of suds you see in a commercial detergent advertisement, and it will not fill your drum with bubbles the way a store-bought liquid does. That is going to look wrong to you the first time you open the lid mid-cycle. It is going to look like nothing is happening. I am telling you now, that feeling is just habit. Foam does not clean clothes. Foam is what detergent companies add because it looks like something is happening and because decades of advertising have trained us to equate bubbles with clean. The actual cleaning is done by the alkaline action of the washing soda and the surfactant action of the soap, neither of which requires foam to work. Your clothes will come out clean. The water will come out dirty. That is the measurement that matters. The second thing to be honest about is high-efficiency machines. Front-loading HE machines are designed for low-sudsing detergents, and this powder is naturally low-sudsing, which actually works in its favor. But HE machines are also more sensitive to residue buildup in the drum and the gaskets, and this recipe, like any powder detergent, can contribute to that over time if the machine is not maintained. If you have a front loader, use 1 tablespoon per load instead of 2, run a hot drum cleaning cycle once a month with plain white vinegar, and wipe the door gasket dry after every wash. Do those 3 things and the recipe works fine in an HE machine. Skip them and you may find buildup developing over several months. I would rather you know that going in. The third honest limit is set-in stains. This powder is excellent for regular soil, body odor, food residue, and the general grime that accumulates in everyday clothing. It is not a stain remover for something that has been sitting in the fabric for 2 weeks. A grass stain from yesterday worked on promptly will come out. A grease stain that went through the dryer and heat set into the fiber is a different problem, and this recipe alone will not reverse it. For those situations, wet the stain first with a little white vinegar or rub a sliver of the Fels naphtha bar directly onto the wet fabric before washing. That pre-treatment, combined with a warm wash cycle, handles the majority of stubborn stains without reaching for a specialty product. Now let me show you how to turn this from a one-time experiment into a full-year system, because that is where the real value comes from. The recipe itself is quick, 10 minutes of grating and stirring, but the habit around it is what makes it stick. Make your first batch and put it in a sealed mason jar or a large sealed container on a shelf you pass every day. Set a reminder on whatever you use for reminders, a note on the cabinet, a mark on your calendar, a phone alert, for 11 months from now. That reminder exists to tell you it is time to make another batch. You do not need to track how much powder is left or worry about running out midweek. 11 months is a conservative estimate for a household of 4 doing 2 to 3 loads weekly. You will likely still have powder in the jar when the reminder comes, and you will simply make a new batch and add it in. For households doing more laundry, a family with young children, a household where someone works a physically demanding job and comes home with genuinely dirty clothes, make a double batch at the start. 2 bars of soap, 2 cups of washing soda, 1 cup of borax. The cost goes from $6 to about $10, and a double batch will still last 6 to 8 months for a larger household. Store the overflow in a second sealed jar on the same shelf. For whites and light colors that need brightening, add half a cup of plain hydrogen peroxide directly to the wash drum before starting the cycle. Hydrogen peroxide costs under $2 at any pharmacy and acts as a gentle oxygen bleach. It will not damage fabric the way chlorine bleach does. It breaks down into water and oxygen in the rinse, and it is safe for colored clothing in small amounts. My mother used sunlight for this. She hung every white sheet and every light cotton garment on the clothesline in full sun. because ultraviolet light is a natural brightener and a natural sanitizer. If you have a clothesline or even a sunny patch of yard, that old habit costs nothing at all and works better than most of what the stores are selling for fabric brightening. For towels that have developed that musty, sour smell that sometimes builds up even after washing, and it happens in every household, particularly in humid climates, add half a cup of plain white vinegar to the rinse cycle in place of fabric softener. White vinegar strips the soap residue that traps odor in the terry fibers and leaves the towel smelling like nothing, which is exactly what a clean towel should smell like. A gallon of white vinegar costs about $3 and lasts months at that rate of use. There is something I want you to sit with for a moment, because it is the part of this that goes beyond laundry. Nobody is going to advertise a $6 laundry solution to you. There is no profit in it. The companies that make commercial detergent spend an enormous amount of money that comes directly out of your grocery budget, on packaging, on fragrance research, on advertising designed to make you feel that what you have at home is not quite enough, that what is on the shelf is better, newer, more powerful. And the formula itself is not dramatically different from what it was 50 years ago. The basic chemistry of cleaning has not changed. What has changed is the price, the packaging, and the number of people who remember that they could do this themselves. It is not that anyone is trying to cheat you exactly. It is simpler than that, and in some ways it sits heavier. The knowledge of how to keep a home without depending entirely on purchased products used to be passed down as a matter of course. Every girl in our hollow learned it from her mother, who learned it from hers. It was not remarkable knowledge at all. It was just what you knew. At some point in the last 60 or 70 years, that transmission stopped. The stores got bigger, the products got shinier, and the old knowledge quietly faded out, not because it stopped working, but because there was no money in keeping it alive. I think about that sometimes when I am standing in the laundry room with a jar of powder that cost me $6 and will last the year. I think about what it means to know how to do something yourself, not to need the store for it, not to be dependent on whatever the price is this week or whether the shelf is stocked. That kind of independence is quiet and it is not glamorous, but it is real, and once you have it, you do not give it back easily. My grandmother made her own soap, not just laundry soap, all of it. She rendered the fat, mixed the lye solution, poured it into wooden molds, and let it cure on a shelf in the back room until it was ready. It was hard work, and she did not romanticize it. She did it because it needed doing and because she knew how. By the time I was old enough to stand at her elbow and watch, she had been doing it for 40 years. What she passed to me was not just the recipe. It was the understanding underneath the recipe that the materials available to ordinary people, used with a little knowledge and a little patience, were enough. That you did not need to be told what to buy. That you already had what you needed. The washing soda and the borax and the bar soap sitting on a hardware store shelf right now are not far removed from what she worked with. The chemistry is the same. The result is the same. The only thing that has changed is that most people have stopped knowing it is an option. And you know it now. And knowing it changes what the laundry aisle looks like the next time you walk through it. So here is what I want you to do. And it is not just someday. This week, the next time you are near a hardware store or walking through the laundry aisle of your grocery store, pick up 1 box of Arm & Hammer washing soda. Pick up 1 box of 20 Mule Team Borax. Pick up 1 bar of Fels Naphtha or Zote soap. Spend $6, give or take a little depending on your store. Bring them home and set aside 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, on a counter or a kitchen table. Grate the full bar of soap on the fine side of your box grater into a bowl. Add 1 cup of washing soda. Add half a cup of borax. Stir until everything is evenly combined. Pour it into a wide-mouth mason jar or any sealed container you have on hand and put it somewhere dry where you will see it every time you do laundry. You only need 2 tablespoons per regular load. Use 3 tablespoons for a large or heavily soiled load. 1 tablespoon if you have a front-loading high-efficiency machine, and remember to run a hot vinegar cycle on the drum once a month. Add half a cup of hydrogen peroxide to the drum when you are washing whites. Add half a cup of white vinegar to the rinse cycle when your towels need freshening. Those are the only adjustments you will ever need to make. That jar will be with you for close to a full year. $6, 1 year. Clean laundry for your whole household without a single trip back to the detergent aisle. Now, I want to ask you something directly, and I hope you will take a moment to answer in the comments below because I read every single one. Have you ever made anything at home that replaced something you used to buy without thinking about it? A cleaner, a remedy, a food staple, anything at all? And if this is your first time trying something like this, what made you decide to give it a chance? Tell me where you are watching from too, if you like. I'm always glad to know what part of the country these old methods are finding their way back into. There is a whole category of household products sitting on store shelves right now that people buy every week without ever questioning whether they need to. Laundry detergent is one of the many examples, and dish soap is another. The sprays under the kitchen sink, the powders in the bathroom cabinet. Most of them have a version that can be made at home for a fraction of the price, with ingredients that have been in use for generations, and the results are just as good, and in some cases better, because you are not adding the stabilizers and artificial fragrances that commercial products use to extend shelf life and justify the price point. I have been working through these one at a time, and the next thing I want to share with you is something that surprised even me when I first looked at the numbers. The average household spends close to $300 a year on cleaning products, not including laundry detergent, just the sprays and scrubs and disinfectants. What my grandmother kept in a single cabinet under the sink handled every surface in that farmhouse for 60 years, and the total cost of what was in that cabinet would not have reached $20 in a year. What those products were, exactly how she used them, and which surfaces each one handles best, that is what I am planning to share next time. If you do not want to miss it, now is a good time to subscribe if you have not already. This kind of knowledge ought to keep moving, and I am going to keep sharing it for as long as there are people who want it. What I hope you take away from all of this is not just a recipe. A recipe is very easy to follow. What I hope you take away is the habit of asking a different question when you are standing in a store aisle. Not just which product is on sale or which one has the most impressive label, but whether you need a product at all or whether what you already have at home, a box of washing soda, a bar of plain soap, a jar of white vinegar, is already the answer. The women who raised me asked that question every day, not because they were trying to be thrifty in some admirable abstract way, but because the answer to it was the difference between a household that held together and one that did not. Frugality was not a personality trait in our hollow. It was a valuable skill. And it was knowledge deep and practical. It was the same kind of knowledge that told you which herbs to dry in autumn, how to keep a root cellar cold and dry through July, how to make a bar of soap stretch 3 months instead of 1. All of it was connected. All of it passed from hand to hand, woman to woman, generation to generation, until it was not. You have the laundry recipe now. Write it down somewhere you will find it. Share it with somebody who would use it. Just let it keep moving. A home that knows how to take care of itself does not need much else. That is what the old women in our hollow understood, and it is as true now as it was the day my grandmother first taught it to me.